Welcome to This Explainer. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Have you ever noticed how you can sit at a desk all day long inside a perfectly climate-controlled gray box, exerting absolutely zero physical effort, and yet you feel completely, utterly drained by 5 o'clock? Your mind is foggy, you're a bit irritable, and you're just totally tapped out. So why does sitting at a desk make you so tired? Well, it actually points to a pretty massive medical mystery of our modern age. And I want to validate that exhaustion for you right off the bat. This is not a personal failure of resilience. It's not just that you need another cup of coffee. What you're experiencing is a distinct biological mismatch between the human body and the spaces we've built to live in. But get this, there's a crazy counterintuitive twist. Imagine leaving that sleek office building, stepping outside, walking into a local park, and just sitting under a tree. In exactly 120 seconds, something incredible happens. Your breathing naturally starts to slow down, and that heavy mental fog, it actively begins to clear up. Just 2 minutes. That's all it takes. And look, this isn't just you feeling refreshed because you finally walked away from your inbox. This is a distinct, measurable biological reaction. Right under the hood, your immune system, your stress hormones, and your brainwaves are actively transforming. And it's all just because you changed your physical environment. To understand why our bodies react so dramatically to this, we really have to look at our history. The shift has been jarringly fast. Back in the year 1800, only 3% of the human population lived in cities. Fast forward to today, and we're at 55%. By 2050, it's projected to hit 70%. In less than 2 centuries, which is literally a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, we moved our entire species out of organic ecosystems and stuffed ourselves into artificial concrete boxes. This brings us to Section 1, the Biophilia Hypothesis. Let's see what's going on here. Popularized back in 1984 by the brilliant evolutionary biologist E.O. Wilson, the biophilia hypothesis states that humans possess an innate, genetically determined affinity for the natural world. Basically, this means our deep connection to nature isn't just some cultural preference or a fun weekend hobby. It's literally hardwired directly into our biology. So, how does this biology actually play out when we look at things? Take fractals, for example. These are repeating, self-similar mathematical patterns that are found absolutely everywhere in nature. Think of the delicate branching of fern leaves, the puffy shapes of clouds, jagged coastlines, or sweeping river networks. For millions of years, our visual cortex evolved specifically to decode these complex, nonlinear shapes with absolute ease. And because our brains are absolute experts at processing those natural fractals, just looking at them actively calms us down on a chemical level. It triggers the brain to produce alpha waves, which are associated with a state of relaxed alertness. You know the feeling, right? You're awake, you're present, but your brain is just completely at peace. But hey, it's not just what we see, it's what we breathe too. Let's talk about phytocides. These are airborne organic compounds released by trees and plants to protect themselves from insects and rot. It's basically an invisible chemical signaling system happening all around you in a forest. This was beautifully documented by Dr. Ching Li in his landmark studies on the science of forest bathing. His work reveals the hidden medicinal power of nature. When humans inhale these invisible phytocides, our immune system mounts an incredible response. It drastically increases the activity of natural killer, or NK cells. Those are the white blood cells responsible for fighting off infections and tumors. Plus, it lowers your stress hormones. And honestly, the most amazing part? These physiological benefits actually last for days after your walk. Moving on to Section 2, the architecture of hard angles. You see, when we built our modern cities, we completely changed the visual menu our brains consume. Industrial city design prioritized efficiency, commerce, and sanitation. But what it totally ignored was human evolutionary biology. Suddenly, almost overnight, our daily environments became dominated by sharp, 90-degree straight lines, featureless concrete, and really uniform textures. Environmental psychologists Stephen and Rachel Kaplan explain this perfectly through their attention restoration theory. Basically, modern environments force what they call directed attention fatigue. You are constantly, actively burning energy just trying to filter out traffic sounds, sirens, and flashing screens. Contrast that with nature, which triggers involuntary attention, or soft fascination. Nature is engaging enough to hold your attention, sure, but it's gentle enough to allow your brain's executive prefrontal cortex to finally kick back, rest, and recover. Which brings us to Section 3, nature deficit and cognitive burnout. So what actually happens when we strip away that natural recovery time entirely? let's explore the stark biological consequences of living completely severed from our ancestral baseline. Consider this concept of chronic visual stress. Staring at flat white walls and straight edges all day literally causes a subtle, constant cognitive strain. Why? Because your brain is desperately searching those flat surfaces for natural spatial depth and fractal patterns, and it just can't find them. It's exactly like a computer processor constantly running a background search that never ever completes. No wonder you're tired. Just look at the stark medical comparison. A typical city commuter operates with elevated baseline cortisol and reduced heart rate variability. A forest walker, on the other hand, shows lowered stress, increased HRV, alpha wave production, and those amazing immune-boosting NK cells we talked about. The research is incredibly clear here, folks. A lack of exposure to green space correlates directly with higher rates of clinical depression and deep physiological depletion. This leads us to a truly fascinating, yet completely bizarre paradox of city living, the sensory deprivation paradox. In a city, you are massively overstimulated. You're overloaded with aggressive noise and harsh artificial light. Yet, simultaneously, your biology is starved of organic sensory variation. You're missing the texture of the wind, natural earthy scents, and the dynamic shifting of sunlight through the leaves. All right, let's talk solutions in Section 4, Microdoses of the Wild. Take a deep breath, because here is the relief pivot. The really great news is that you don't need to quit your urban life, sell all your belongings, and move to a remote cabin in the woods to heal your brain. The biological takeaway here is actually incredibly empowering. Your brain simply needs to be reminded where it came from. We can cure a massive amount of this modern exhaustion by essentially tricking our primal biology back into a state of safety and familiarity just by using small, intentional environmental cues. Let's look at a few highly accessible, science-backed steps you can easily integrate into your daily life to fight off that urban brain fog. Number 1, just spend 20 minutes in a local park. Let your eyes find those calming, natural fractals. Number 2, add indoor houseplants to your living space or your desk to bring some organic variation into the gray box. And number 3, make a real point to spend time under natural sunlight. These little microdoses of the wild are truly powerful medicines for an urbanized brain. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a powerful final thought. We didn't leave nature behind when we built our cities. We just forgot that the human mind is still an ecosystem. So the next time you feel completely drained sitting at your desk, ask yourself, is it really the workload, or is your personal ecosystem just starving for a little bit of the wild?